Hey everyone, and welcome back to part 2 of the Star Wars Masterclass painting series. This video comes to you in collaboration with Mindwork Games, who run a beautiful Kickstarter to bring the Art of Brom into the worlds of miniatures. Find all the relevant links below. I'm happy you enjoyed the first one. Now in part 2 I will cover the initial sketch on the Star Wars skin, wet and wet painting like I did on the base, but with a smaller brush. Introduction. Welcome to another day in the studio. Come on in and paint along with me. If you're interested in my starting processes, how I built the model and the base, explanations and feedback on the Brom paints, and how I set up my wet palette, check back with part 1. If you enjoy this channel and its content, let me know in the comments. Press thumbs up and subscribe. Your interaction helps this channel to grow. Arigato. I will again explain my process to you, but mainly show you my painting process and good music. When there is something to say, I will say it, but I will avoid too much distraction. You can find written word descriptions plus tons of high resolution photos about my processes via my Patreon. Also from this project, of course. I believe the combination from these videos and the descriptions there give the best insight into my way of painting. Without much further ado, I will dive right into the painting with you. I got my wet palette from the fridge as I usually put it there after a painting session. I do like my colors cold and my palette moistured. The issue is with highly pigmented artist acrylics, if they stay too warm and the palette loses water, they might become thick and feel grainy before you mix through them again. Not all of them can be recovered properly. I try to avoid this completely by using the fridge trick. Problem can be that the colors flow a bit on the palette due staying soft and being moistured all the time. They might spread on the palette. I personally do not care. Initial sketch of the Star Witch skin. I'm doing an initial sketch of her skin now, means I was checking the reference on my phone again and then mix the colors I need to paint with. On my wet palette I do mix what I need and paint rather wildly, you can say, on my figure instead of putting careful layers on top of each other. This might come later after the first sketch. Enjoy! I told you I show you all my processes. Even in this early stage there is something I always find very important after the first sketch on the base. I paint its plinth black. No matter the plinth's material, natural wood or resin, I do not care. I might only care for high-end wooden expensive plinths, but I also pick these usually dark. I do not want any bright wood color or anything else distract me from my focal point, the scene. This is why I paint my plinths usually black, even in the beginning, as it helps me to focus. I do use a cheap matte black acrylic paint that you can buy in German hardware stores. I do this even to gaming bases, and yes, I will do this more often as painting continues. And I do it once in the end when the project is done. Of course I need to work a bit more careful compared to the base sketch, but still my goal is to bring in all colors I see on the first glance and to mix the colors first on the wet palette, to find the tonality, and then I do mix and paint on the figure itself. Well, before I start painting on the miniature, I study the reference and pre-mix my colors from primaries that I need for the skin's shadow, midtone and highlight. This is a loose process, one that helps me to get into mood of painting. I also paint the colors to my hand to see how they look with opacity and while they are drying. Always checking back with my reference, of course. Now with these three main colors for my main shapes and volumes on the figure, I can put them in place and later use in-between mixtures and tonalities to blend them together. Many of you were thankful that I'm showing the full process in these videos. To be honest, while editing this part, I tried here too, but in the beginning not much is really happening, so I edited a bit. I hope this is suitable. Again, as another professional video editor, please let me know your feedback and thoughts in the comments. Again, the first layer is not fully covering. I take it as the main sketch, you can say. While it dries, it does have some leftover softness, so I can mix in the second one for full coverage. Important is to try to avoid losing yourself in detail at this stage. No need for that at this point. My goal is to work on big volumes and finding colors. It helps me to get to know the sculpt. This is essential for later as I get to know the sculpt more and more. If I start with details now, I cannot properly work on them as I do not yet know the sculpt and its details. Knowledge of shapes, volumes, colors and details must build up. It cannot be there on the first brushstroke. If you keep this in mind, you will get to know the sculpt all the time when painting. And with every painting session, it will tell you more. In the end, when doing micro details, you know it quite well. This cannot be achieved in the beginning. After a while, when you are working with your second layer, you can see that the highlight that you painted is not as strong when it has dried when you put it on. This happens and is natural. I just paint it again and create a thicker pigmentation coverage on the area to make the color stronger and more intense. Pigment coverage. Pigment density, you can say. 2 creamy coats. While I'm in the process of defining the sketch a bit, I often paint the model upside down. It helps me to see mistakes and understand the same volumes differently and in a larger picture. Give it a try. It is amazing to understand shapes much easier, but takes a bit of time for training the brain. Again, I'm working on adding thicker, you can say more creamy layers on top of each other, and to define here and there, to bring in different nuances and tonalities until my sketch of this is soon finished. I will work on that even more in the next parts. Here is the result of this sketch and this painting session. As you can see, I was constructing this with the 3 colors of shadow, midtones and highlights that I extracted from my reference. The more I progressed, the more little nuances in between were sketched in. A little nuance of orange in the mix here, a little bit of blue influence here, a little bit more warmth there. Super tiny games already did help me to get into it and see where it will go from here on. Sketch done. Here is an overview on the colors that were created in this process of sketching the skin. To close today's painting session, I decided to give the hair a base color. I have in mind that she is some warm blonde-haired witch, and I'm just going with a blonde shadow color by using yellow ochre and purple together and applied it into 2 creamy coats. Remember, these are complementary colors, and putting them together, they will desaturate each other. I hope you enjoyed the second video of the series. Do not forget to comment and press thumbs up to help this channel grow. Thank you very much. Thanks to all my Patreons for their continuous support. Without your help, creating these videos would not be possible. Consider becoming a Patreon too and see more of these insights. So far, Roman out, keep on happy painting, bye bye.
Love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now
Introduction. Introduction.